Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, Opie worked on a crabbing boat, often leaving for months at a time, causing strain in her marriage. Suspecting his wife's infidelity, he enlisted her brother's help, who later revealed he was the one she cheated with. Heartbroken, he divorced her, cut ties with her brother, and exposed their affair to their family. She faced public humiliation after becoming pregnant by another man. Now let's get into the story. I worked on a crabbing boat for 30 years. For 7 of those years, I was married to my wife. Our relationship was pretty good, but whenever I had to leave for a fishing trip, she hated it. I could be gone for up to 5 months, but that didn't happen too often. There was also a risk factor, so she worried about me. Cell reception wasn't too great out at sea, so we invested in walkie-talkies that could communicate up to 1,000 miles apart. I was usually busy doing something, so we didn't talk all day every day, but at least once a day. My wife suddenly went from dreading my departure and trying to get me to retire to encouraging me to leave. She said she found 2 new hobbies, which were gardening and raising chickens. Still, I secretly asked my brother to keep an eye on her, because I believed she could be cheating on me. He was more than willing to keep me updated. I gave him a walkie-talkie as well and told him a channel other than the one I spoke to my wife on. A month into my journey, he told me he knew for sure she was cheating on me. I broke down. I didn't think it would hurt as bad as it did when I knew for sure. I tried asking him questions to figure out who he was. I asked what he looked like, where he lived, where he worked, anything he could find out. He actually asked why I wanted to know. I said revenge and certainty. He said he wasn't sure it was such a good idea for me to seek this guy out. He suggested I just let it go and divorce my wife. I asked him why he thought that was the best thing to do, and he said finding the truth might hurt me more than just accepting what happened. It was much harder to work after this conversation. I didn't know it was a fake name, but I knew it wasn't someone I knew. I thought it was wrong that he didn't want to help me find out as much about this guy as possible. I kept radioing my brother over the next few days, even more than I did my wife. I didn't want her to know I knew until I got home to confront her and officially break up. I didn't need her covering her tracks, causing me to second-guess the truth. One day I decided to give him a call, even though it was after midnight, but he answered me. Before our conversation got very far, I heard my wife's voice in the background while he spoke to me. My jaw dropped. There was no mistaking her voice. My brother was with her right now, and openly talking to me in front of her. I asked why he was with her, and it took way too long for him to reply. She tried to radio me to pretend she wasn't with my brother at the moment. I said if she wasn't cheating on me with him, then who was she cheating with? Because I knew it was someone. She finally admitted that yes, she was cheating with my brother, and I heard him scolding her for telling me. She went on to tell me that he wanted to be with her, and planned on lying to me so that I wouldn't hate him, but would still divorce her. I switched to my brother's channel and started talking to him. He said she was lying and there really was another man. He was only with her now because he confronted her as AP left. I told him I never wanted her to know that I knew, so she'd be unprepared for me to leave her. He apologized for telling her but swore she was lying when she said he was her lover. Needless to say, it was hard for me. I wanted to side with my brother, but I knew he was AP. When I finally got home, I filed for divorce and tried to find any record of the fake name he gave me to no avail. My wife tried convincing me my brother was AP, but I refused to credit her words at all. She didn't want me to divorce her, even though she was cheating. I told her no matter who AP was, she didn't deserve to have a man care for her. If she was going to betray him whenever he wasn't around to babysit her. One day, my brother finally came clean and told me what happened. He claimed that she was the one who came to him and that he couldn't resist. At that moment, I told him to never speak to me again. I then informed all of my family members on what happened and he's no longer allowed to be near them anymore. My ex was devastated that my brother was suddenly gone and didn't know how to handle her lonely, recently divorced self. She knew what happened to him because I told her. It only took 3 weeks for her to start sleeping with whoever she wanted, while dealing with my brother deciding not to be with her anymore. To top it all off, my ex felt pregnant by one of the men she slept with. He was married, and when the truth came out, it didn't stay quiet. The whole town and all the people my wife knew started trash-talking her. She went from me to my brother to another married man all within a year. She deserved the unexpected pregnancy and rejection. Today's second story. In this story, a 36-year-old dentist, married with 2 kids, discovers his wife, 30, has been cheating for years. Despite initial shock, he confronts her publicly at her workplace party, revealing the affair. After she loses her job, he takes their planned trip to Australia alone, celebrating his role as a father. Despite pleas for forgiveness, he moves on, finding closure and growth through the experience. Now let's get into the story. 36 male was working every day as a dentist. I was the father of 2 young children, and I trusted their mother 30 female more than anyone. She was supposed to be my rock, my life partner. Her dream was to travel around the world. She was very smart and acted for years like a respectable woman, so I wanted to make her dream come true. Even before our wedding day, it became impossible for me to picture living my life without her. We were married for 6 years before we had our first child. For years later, we had our second. Shortly after our second-born's 5th birthday, my wife celebrated 10 years of employment with her company. Our life was better than I ever could have asked for. We celebrated by hosting a party in her home. Several of her colleagues came over, and it was only the second time I got to meet them in all those years. Everyone seemed really nice. Several people complimented me and my wife. All of them got to see or meet our kids, who got out of bed to investigate mom and dad's friends. I didn't notice anything weird about the party or the people there. My wife was a little excited and jittery, but that was how she usually got whenever she was at a social gathering. She didn't know it, but I was saving up money as fast as I could for a trip to Australia to celebrate her upcoming 20th wedding anniversary. I worked 6 days a week, so I was looking forward to this more than any whole Sunday. I had the thought at least once a week that our area needed more dentists. Literally, just days after the party we hosted and days before I planned to tell my wife and kids about the trip I had planned, my ML texted me. All she said was, "She's cheating on you." I replied with lots of question marks, and when she didn't reply back, I called her. She sighed before admitting that there were lots of people who knew my wife was cheating on me. She started an affair about 2 years prior with one of her colleagues. Completely taken aback, I asked why she, nor anyone else ever told me about it. She said she didn't tell me about it because it was her daughter, and she didn't want to be the one to tell her secret. But after so long of an affair, she couldn't take it anymore and reasoned that I deserved to know, so either of us had a chance at getting married again. I couldn't believe my wife was shamelessly seeing another man, and none of her coworkers felt like telling me. Then she added that my wife was looking forward to this upcoming business trip. My wife told her that work trips were the only time she could feel guilt-free with AP. Then she admitted to her mother that she might be enjoying her affair more than her marriage. I asked my Emile what I was supposed to do about custody of the children, which I immediately regretted because she started saying that my wife was still an excellent mother, so I could let her have, and that's when I hung up. Now that I knew the truth, I was going to start taking my life back. I felt like a moron as I explained the situation to my lawyer. How did I not see any signs? My lawyer suggested I obtain evidence of some kind before confronting her about it. So before she left me with the kids to go on the business trip she was so looking forward to, I asked her where it would be held and wrote down the address. She probably assumed I just asked for safety reasons. She kissed the kids goodbye and then tried to kiss me. I pulled away, but she didn't ask me why. She just looked at me a moment before she shrugged and left. That's how I knew she didn't care about me anymore. I planned to surprise her at the address she gave me. I left our kids with my mom, who was very eager to see them. She lived independently 45 minutes away from us, far enough that she wasn't comfortable driving, so having the kids at her house didn't happen very often. I needed her more than ever at this point. I arrived at the address of a fancy hotel. There were several luxurious rooms for social gatherings. I found the one for my wife's company and started recognizing people as I walked around. I held my phone, recording as I searched for her. If she so shamelessly spent time with this man around her coworkers, I could think of no better way to get proof and confront her. People I met before stared at me, probably wondering where they knew me from. One woman gasped and didn't take her eyes off me. She knew this was it. My wife was busted. Several other people noticed me looking around and remembered who I was. By the time I made eye contact with my wife, we had an audience of about 80 people. She had another man's arm around her waist. I could tell that just a moment before she saw me, she was extremely comfortable having a marvelous time. I was shell-shocked. My wife dropped her wine glass as I felt my anger reach a point I never felt before in my life. All the years I spent with her and our children's faces flashed in my head. I thought about flipping over a table full of food, but I was recording her and AP at this moment. I was trembling as I rhetorically asked if anyone cared to tell me the truth about my wife. No one said a word. No one moved. I asked her directly why she cheated on me. Even though on the grand scale of things, it didn't matter why my wife cheated on me. I felt like I needed to know. I wanted her to explain on camera why it wasn't good enough for her in front of all the people she worked with. She looked extremely stupid when she just stammered that she didn't know why. I scoffed loudly and yelled that our kids deserved a better mother. Then I walked out. Later that night, after I was back at home with our kids, my MIL called, begging me to give my wife another chance. She said it wasn't her place to tell me what my wife was doing. I thanked her for telling me the truth because anyone deserves to know when they're being cheated on. She paused before asking me again to forgive my wife so she could come back home. She went on to explain that she didn't have room for her to move in and just flat out didn't want her to live with her. I laughed a hearty laugh and hung up. Neither she nor her daughter cared about me. They were only thinking of themselves. For some reason, my MIL became annoyed by the fact that everyone knew about my wife's affair except for me. So she told me the truth because it was what she wanted to do. Now that it inconvenienced her, she wanted me to forgive her daughter. She didn't even say it was for her daughter's sake, she just wanted her house back. Wouldn't you believe that my wife called me just 2 days later, asking me to forgive her because she didn't want to live with her mom? She said she was sorry, but I knew her tears were because she hated the consequences of cheating on me, not because she felt remorse for breaking apart our family. I had already uploaded the video online and attached it to an email to her company. She and AP lost their jobs already. I took this time to tell her that I saved up money for a trip to Australia, intending to celebrate our 20th anniversary, but now it was going to be a trip for me to celebrate being a father to 2 amazing kids. My mom would be taking her ticket. She didn't believe me at first, but then she started throwing a tantrum. This was the best and worst karma for her to experience. She was missing out on her lifelong dream that I made possible, all because she started a shameless 2-year-long affair with a colleague. Unhappy to say that the trip to Australia was absolutely incredible, and it really helped me to grow as a father and heal as a man.